All right, welcome everyone. Welcome to another HubSpot user group. My name is Ollie. I am the account strategist at Refuel Creative. And here I do a little bit of everything, but I specialize in marketing and sales automation. And today I'll tell you about RevOps, revenue operations, what it is, why you need it, and how you can get started with it. So if you have any questions during the presentation, please write them down. We'll stop about halfway through to go through a couple if there are any, otherwise we'll keep them for the end. So let's get started. So to start with, let's have a look at what exactly RevOps is. So revenue operations, or RevOps in short, is the process by which companies align all of the operational functions supporting their sales, marketing, and customer service operations. So it brings together your revenue generating activities and acknowledges the role that each department plays in that process. So the aim is for your business to make decisions that drive predictable revenue and promote the growth of your business. So in short, it's a business function that aims to maximize your revenue potential. So that's for the quick definition of RevOps, but you're probably wondering what it actually looks like and how it works. So let's have a look first at what generally happens without RevOps. So traditionally, organizations work a bit like this. So you have siloed departments with disparate missions, disconnected customer experiences, and disjointed analytics. The customer goes from one team to the other in a rough journey, and they are not at the center of that journey. In your organization, each department has their own data, their own metrics, their own targets, their own tech stack, and their own processes. So each of the handover points between those teams turn into a friction point where data can be lost or not communicated efficiently between your teams, and prospects or clients can be lost because of it. So basically, in your business, one hand doesn't know what the other is doing, and the final result is that money is left on the table. So the role of the RevOps model is to break down those silos and reduce the friction that may exist between your sales, marketing, and customer service departments. So it does that by putting the customer at the center and aims to create an enjoyable experience for them because they're simply what your business is all about. So to put it simply, RevOps is your marketing, sales, and service departments acting as one powerful team with one singular mission to relentlessly drive revenue to grow your business simply by making the customer journey more enjoyable for the customer and way more efficient. So that all sounds great, but why should you care? Well, firstly, you need to understand that RevOps didn't appear out of nowhere. It was born out of necessity. So it solves the common problem of having one singular 360-degree view of your customer instead of having your marketers, sales team, and customer service reps operating independently with their own individual technology stack and their own data, because that leads to data silos, miscommunication between the teams, a loss of productivity, and eventually that slows down your business growth. So without RevOps, small issues can actually spin out of control because no one in your business has a general view of your customer and how the various systems and processes work together to try and delight that customer. So it's very important because customers nowadays expect a positive experience from all interactions with businesses. the expectations are the highest that they've ever been. And if you don't meet those expectations, you'll never see them again. They expect companies to know about previous interactions and inquiries, to know what they're interested in without having to repeat details over the course of multiple interactions. We've probably all been in a situation before where you're on a phone call trying to get a problem solved with a business and you're transferred to 5 different people, and each time you have to repeat what you said to the previous person. That's definitely not a positive customer experience. And it works the same with your customer's journey. So connecting sales, marketing, and service teams through RevOps helps you meet those customer expectations and make it more enjoyable for them. And RevOps has some great benefits for your business. Firstly, it creates predictable business growth through accurate metrics. If you have a 360-degree view of your customer, you have data that you can rely on and base your decisions on. It's also a lot easier for you to know which prospects are more likely to close, so it's easier for you to know what to spend your time on. RevOps creates transparency between your team. Imagine a cross-team meeting where the marketing team talks about their objectives, and the sales team talks about theirs, and they can't agree on anything. And at the end of the day, the whole picture is unclear to everyone. When everyone has the same objective and can access the same accurate information, it's a lot easier for your business to make the right decisions. And RevOps gives you that. It creates visibility across your teams and creates alignments in all the handoff points. It fosters collaboration between your team as all of them work towards a unified goal and spend less time in fighting. It boosts your customer experience because it streamlines processes and allows all teams to be more attentive to your customers' needs, and that leads eventually to higher customer retention. And importantly, RevOps brings you scalability. As your business grows, it goes through major changes, which can create major problems if your teams don't work together and there is no transparency between them. Because if you change some of the processes with your marketing teams, the chances are that it's probably going to impact your sales teams as well. If there's no communication between them, that's going to create issues. So RevOps makes internal transitions seamless by involving all teams in the whole customer journey. So maybe right now you're thinking, do I need RevOps? Well, there are a few signs that indicate you might get into it as soon as possible. Firstly, are your departments clashing? Is there no coordination between them? You know trouble's brewing when your employees from different departments approach you for clarification every single day. For example, some employees are getting conflicting messages from the head of marketing and the head of sales. So that's when you would want to look at RevOps to clarify all of that. Or your sales and marketing departments clash over the quality of MQLs. Disjointed teams are a major momentum killer, and that's when you need RevOps. You probably need RevOps as well if you have a lot of leads dropping off during the handoff between either marketing and sales, or you get bad feedback about your onboarding process and the handoff between sales and service teams. If you are overwhelmed by the number of tools you are using, traditionally, every team in an organization has its own tech suite used for specific functionalities and for a specific purpose. However, the silo structure of teams can lead to an overlap of those tools that drives up your expenses, that makes a mess of your tech inventory, and that makes your data confusing or leads you to a loss of some of that data. Speaking of data, RevOps is a good idea if you find that every department in your business use their own metrics and their own data. If there's no communication between the teams and they all sit on their own knowledge, that's when you want RevOps. An example would be that your customer team knowing all the other pain points of your customers, but the marketing team does not know that. So they can't target the people more likely to convert, and they don't know what to tell those people if they manage to target them. RevOps could solve that. And finally, if you think that your processes are messy, you probably need to look into RevOps. It builds processes for every stage in a customer journey to create a consistent and delightful experience for your prospects. So you need RevOps. How do you go about it? There are three main pillars to consider. That's your processes, your tech stack, and your people. In terms of process, you want to make your teams work together to focus on the most important prospects and to convert them into raving fans in one smooth customer journey. Internally, you need well-defined procedures that will provide a good experience for the customer and easy interactions across departments, so that that limits the friction between at handover points. You want teams to know what the whole customer journey looks like, and you want them to collaborate to limit frictions at those handover points. For example, when your marketing team hands an MQL to the sales team, all the information that the sales team needs to follow the lead up and close the deal as easily as possible should be clear to them without needing a lot of back and forth between both teams, or worse, having to ask the customer for that information again. With every team sharing the same data and focusing on the same metrics, it gives everyone a clear picture of how you are doing and where the growth opportunities are. And finally, that allows your teams to focus on doing their job instead of chasing each other up for information. So your sales team can just focus on making those leads convert and on getting sales. Secondly, you've got your tech stack. So RevOps is based on accurate and reliable data. That's really what you need to make RevOps work. And to provide you with reliable data, technology must be connected to and coordinated with your revenue funnel. By aligning your tech stack across teams and by limiting the overlap between what your different teams use, RevOps makes sure that you have one single source of truth, one place where all of your data is, and that data is reliable. RevOps eliminates situations where one of your teams knows some important information, but the other departments don't. It allows you to truly report on the customer journey, what the issues are, where the bottlenecks are, and what you could do to get rid of those bottlenecks. And it also allows your people to identify how they directly and indirectly impact the pipeline. Speaking of which, last but not least, you've got your people, so your teams. After you've documented the existing and ideal processes, you should have a better understanding of what work needs to be done to bring your company from point A to point B. The people in charge of putting your processes and platforms together and overseeing them are RevOps' third and final pillar. It's their responsibility to identify areas of improvement so you can grow your business. And as All of your staff should have a good view of what is working and what is not working, because they've got access to the same data and to the reliable data, and they are using the same tools. They can design solutions together. It's important to say that you don't need a dedicated RevOps team. You can share RevOps tasks among your current team members, depending on the size of your business. Obviously, if you're a business of 5 people, it makes little sense to have a RevOps team. So I'll just stop here for a second to see if we've got any questions. So we've got a question from Sam. What are the top skills you need to have to do RevOps properly? So obviously you need to be good with technology first. I'd say that's a must. Then you need a good analytical mind to be good with numbers and be able to, because you have to deal with so much data, you have to really be able to read data properly and to basically get insights from that data. I'd say that interpersonal skills as well is probably important, especially if you are the only RevOps person. You will have to deal with the different teams. So it's important to really know what each team needs, and what their problems are. That's pretty much it. So we'll keep on going, and we'll go. If you've got any questions, again, please write them down in the chat, and we'll go through them at the end of the presentation. So how do you get started with RevOps? Well, if you have HubSpot, the good news is that you've basically already started. You can get started with your RevOps strategy following those 4 steps. So audit, define and align, build and optimize. So firstly, you audit your customer journey to find areas of disconnect between your departments and find areas of improvement. You then define and align your lifecycle stage definitions. You then build or restructure your maps for customer acquisition, onboarding, and customer delight. And finally, you regularly analyze your data and get feedback from your teams to optimize and fit your growth strategy. Luckily for you, if you have HubSpot, it's got almost everything you need to manage your customer journey all under one roof. I put almost into brackets, but what HubSpot doesn't have, you would generally be able to find with integrations. So let's get started with the audit. So here you basically review the data you have available to try and identify your ideal customer journey, what the main pain points in that journey are for your customer, and what pain points each of your departments have at which stage. You audit all of your existing content and try to align it with your buyer's life cycle stage and create a plan to fill in the gaps. So what does your customer look for at a specific stage in their journey? Can you currently give it to them? How would you give it to them at that stage? Then you audit the technology you use in your marketing, sales, and service departments to make sure that they're correctly tracking every movement your potential buyer is making along the pipeline. Then you audit your website and other digital footprints like ads and social to ensure that you have every conversion best practice in place, so there are no barriers to entry for your potential buyers. and because you don't want to miss out on an interesting prospect, and obviously that you can track the results of everything that you are doing along the pipeline and discover those bottlenecks. So in HubSpot, firstly, you ensure that your portal is correctly set up. Is the HubSpot tracking code firing on your website? Are your ads and social accounts connected? Are all key integrations you're using bringing in the data you want them to? And if not, how can you solve that? Then you start putting your data into visual reports so you can identify key opportunities, bottlenecks, and issues. So you put all your customer data or your historical data into visual reports and try to identify those issues. Then you analyze that data and put together the best possible picture of your typical customer journey. The new customer journey reports HubSpot just launched are worth looking at here. That's a feature that HubSpot is looking to build on in the near future. So check them out and fiddle with them and see if you can get some really good data from those. So once you have a rough idea of what your ideal customer journey is and you've got that mapped out, it's time to dig deep into the detail and to define and align. So here you evaluate your analytics to ensure you have a full funnel view of your revenue pipeline and the general health of the business. You audit your tech stack to identify any redundancies across software and tools. You basically want to make sure that your data is as clean as possible. So any redundancy, combine them, put that data all together so you can have that one big picture. Provide your team with clear definitions and streamlined processes for content marketing, inbound and outbound sales, and customer delight. In HubSpot, you can easily do that, especially now that life cycle stages are fully customizable. So all you need is to clearly define your customer lifecycle stages, define your deal pipeline stages and how they align with your customer's lifecycle stage, and then you map everything. And by mapping everything, that means what workflows will you need at which stage, what properties will you need and when, who should be the contact owner at that stage, what's the most likely reason for a lead to drop off at this particular stage. Are there any playbooks your team should follow to make sure that they get all of the information that will be needed either at the next stage or later on during your customer's journey? Review your HubSpot integrations. Again, make sure that there are no redundancies. Check that data from those integrations is coming through to HubSpot because, again, HubSpot needs to act as your one source of truth. So once you've mapped everything, if you find out that one integration would be good to use at a particular stage, just make sure that that data is coming through into HubSpot and that you can easily access it when you need it. So you've done all the hard thinking work. Now it's time to build. That includes any workflows to move prospects through the pipeline and ensure that accurate data is collected. Any inbound and outbound sales follow-up emails, task queues, sequences, and most importantly, setting up reporting dashboards to identify all blocks, bottlenecks, and pain points. Because if you set everything up correctly and you build everything up correctly, you will have a ton of data to go through. It's important to have clear reporting so that you can see where the issues are and focus on what matters. So again, in HubSpot, what does it look like? HubSpot is a very powerful tool here. You can pretty much do everything in it. So workflows galore, a lot of workflows to try to automate as much as possible between your deal and lifecycle stages. You can use lists for segmenting, for targeting, and also for automation. You can use the conversations inbox both to get and filter sales leads between the good ones and the ones you shouldn't prioritize, but also for customer service. Create playbooks, tasks, and sequences for the sales team to make it easy for them to get all the information they need and also to follow up on leads that have stalled. And set up comprehensive reporting so you can identify bottlenecks through the conversion funnel reports, or use the lifecycle stage distribution report, which are both HubSpot default, to ensure that there is a consistent flow through each stage. Let's say that you have 50,000 MQLs coming in this year, but only 5,000 SQLs. So you know you have an issue here because the drop-off is huge. So that's something that's important to report on and to see so that you can clearly identify that bottleneck and try to find solutions about that. So once you've built everything, unfortunately, the work is not done. You need to constantly optimize your customer journey and your processes and ensure everything is consistent with your growth strategy. So that means two simple ways to do this is to set up regular meetings with your departments to make sure that firstly, the big picture is clear to all and everyone's aligned with it, and also to get any feedbacks and ideas from them. As you develop your systems, bottlenecks are going to come through and pain points and frustration are going to come through as well. It's important for your team to be able to let you know about them so that you can quickly fix them. And obviously identify your bottlenecks and address them as quickly as possible. In a HubSpot, to do that, there's plenty that you can use. You can use pre-built analytics, custom reporting, and feedback surveys to identify cracks in your customer journey. Is there a roadblock during handoff between two departments? Are prospects getting stuck or lost at certain points more than others? Is important data not coming through as it should, or is it coming through too late or too early in your process? Again, the new customer journey reports could be helpful here. Just have a look and have a play around with them. And again, HubSpot is looking to develop that feature, which might be very helpful for RevOps in the future. HubSpot is a fantastic tool and gives you a mountain of tools and data to play with. And that ironically leads to one of the biggest issues with HubSpot is that it's very easy to be overwhelmed. And with RevOps as well. So one good idea is to start small and simple. So just review your lifecycle stages and your deal stages, map that out, and then lead one special project a month or a quarter, depending on how big your team is and how much time you've got, to improve your processes and your customer journey. For example, next month, November, can be a look at segmentation and how Refuel can do that better. And December can be lead scoring, how to identify which leads are worth chasing more than others. Over time, by doing this, you will build a very detailed system Just don't forget to review everything from time to time and try to identify inefficiencies. So to finish up with this presentation, let's have a look at a working example. And that working example is Refuel's own customer journey map. So this is something that we are working on right now. So I'm not going to go into too much detail about it because you can see it's pretty comprehensive. But you can see that we have mapped out our customer journey here. We have deal stages that we've aligned with customer lifecycle stages in HubSpot. And for each deal stage, we have our deal probability percentage so that we can forecast accurately. For each stage of our map, we've identified what is not working at the moment, what the main issues at this stage are currently. That can be simply that this stage doesn't exist at this point and we need to create it because we've identified that reviewing our data, which is what happened with a couple of those stages for us. And then we have our plan. We've got our plan for each stage. So how do customers get there? And if possible, how can we automate them getting there? So if we have a stage that is proposal sent, how do we get, as soon as the proposal is sent, to our customer and our deal in HubSpot to move to that proposal stage? What should happen when the stage is entered? So is there any follow-up that you need launched? Is there any email that you need to send to your customer to ask for more information? Is there any task that you need to set up for your team? Again, proposal stage. Let's create, as soon as we enter the preparing proposal stage, let's create tasks for our team to prepare, to do what they need to do to prepare that proposal. Then you've got the possible outcomes and progressions. So what are the possible outcomes from entering the stage? Usually you'll always have one outcome is they go to the next stage, and one outcome is they either stall or they are closed lost. Depending on what your customer journey looks like, you may skip a stage depending on what happens. So it's important to really map that out and try to identify every single possibility so that you can prepare for it and you can organize yourself for it. What should happen if a lead or a deal stalls at this stage? So if someone gets stuck, if one of your potential customers gets stuck in this stage, what do you need to do about it? Do you need to follow them up? Do you need to give them some more content? Try to identify that. Then we've got into the more of the detail of what information should be gathered at this stage, what information you need, who's the contact owner, what materials do you require to get that information or to try and push those leads to progress through that stage. So that can be workflows, documents, template emails, playbooks, sequences, anything really. What properties are needed in HubSpot? Do they currently exist? Any red flags you need to look at this stage so that you can set up your lead scoring and know who to prioritize at this stage. If you've got a lead that has got 3 of the red flags you identified for this stage, it's probably worth focusing on another lead and putting this one at the end. And finally, what reporting would you need about this stage specifically? So you can see that it covers, again, this is just an example. You don't have to follow this exact template. That's what we found worked for us. But you can see that it covers the whole customer journey. So from lead generation, probably when your customer is within the hands of your marketing team, to being handed off to the sales team. So when they're on your sales pipeline, to post sales, what happens with onboarding, what happens after their project for us, after a client has finished their project, what should happen there? So that's your customer delight to try to bring them back. So it's important to cover that whole customer journey. So that sort of map is a great way to start, and it can pretty much, once you've got all that information in, it can pretty much all be done in HubSpot. So you build your workflows, you create your properties, and you start from there. So there you have it. That is RevOps in a nutshell. One last important piece of advice is keep scaling in mind. Always, as you build your processes and systems, you want them to work as your team grows and your business scales up. So think about what you want your business to look like. Think about your 5-10 year plan and what your business might look like in 5 to 10 years, and build your processes and map your customer journey based on that as well. So that's my last piece of advice. Thank you for attending. I hope you've learned something from this presentation. And if you have any questions, please write them down. I'll take the next 20 minutes to go through them. And if we finish before the 20 minutes, we'll finish up. We've got Stepan, who asked, will this sheet be shared? I'm assuming you're asking about the template of the map we use. I can definitely share that with you. No problem. Sam asked, what's the number one thing that a successful RevOps strategy depends on? Well, clean, actionable data. In RevOps, data is everything. So if every department is aligned around the same data, it prevents silos from starting. And if your data is reliable, you can really make the right decisions and to really identify where your bottlenecks are and what you need to sort out, how you can make your customer journey better. Are there any other questions? I'll mute myself and have a sip of water for a second, and then we'll go through any other questions if there are any. Right, Sam has got a lot of questions. Apparently, it's the final one. What metrics do you track in RevOps? That's a great question and probably something I should have covered. Simple answer, revenue is your main metric. How you track it depends on what your business looks like. And what's important to your business. It could be lifetime value, it could be annual recurring revenue. It really depends on your business, but revenue is your main one, because that's all RevOps is about, is to try to drive your revenue and drive your growth. Then it's all about, again, clear data on who your customers are, where they come from, and importantly, drop-offs between stages. So here's an example. Let's say that your website form submissions increased in the past couple of months, but you find out that your meeting requests with your sales teams have gone down, and significantly down. That's a big red flag to step in and see there what can be improved, because that's a clear bottleneck. There's 100 other different metrics that you can track, and it's up to your team to decide which ones are important. It can be win rates, it can be average deal size, it can be the amount of touches between each stage. So how many touches do you need for a customer usually to get from the lead generation, from form submission to actually sending them a proposal? Same thing with the time period, which can really help your forecasting. Is, do you find that leads generally take 6 months to go from generation to sending a proposal? Then you can plan on that and try to find how you, if that's important to you, how you can get that a little bit quicker. All right. It doesn't look like we've got any other questions, but yes, we'll send you the slide deck after this presentation, and I will send you the Excel template that I have shown you at the end of the presentation. But unless there are any other last minute questions, I will. All right. Doesn't look like there's any other questions. So you have a great afternoon, and we'll see you next time for another HubSpot user group. See you, everyone.